Hello everyone and welcome to Cricket World TV. I'm Jim White, with me John Pennington. Thanks for joining us, John.
No problem, Jim.
Excellent. Well, we've got a fantastic week of cricket to round up here. Of course, all 8 teams are in action, and it really has been a fascinating week with a lot of interesting stories individually and also team-wise. And of course, I think the first one to start with, an impressive fight back by the West Indies in Australia, John.
Absolutely. After they were thumped in Brisbane, they came back in Adelaide, the second test, and it was a draw. And going into the final day, they were actually on top, and we're thinking perhaps they might just be able to set Australia a target and win. In the end, Australia was set 330 to win, and they slipped to 137 for 5. Game on at that point, but they recovered, as Australian teams at home tend to do. Michael Clarke on the unbeaten centre, but really good signs for the West Indies, who, as I say, they're coming out of that contract crisis and looking pretty good, with Chris Gale unbeaten 165. Really good to see him in good form.
Isn't that the first time a captain of the West Indies has actually carried his bat through an innings? So,
I understand it is. I think that's a remarkable stat, because they've had some pretty good batsmen as captains, but we understand it is the first time it's ever been done. So.
But of course, not many would have opened. So to carry his bat, then he's had to sort of do both roles there.
Indeed.
We'll get up to him. Okay, so 1-0 up then. Australia go to Perth with the 1-0 lead. What might we expect from the Perth game? Well, it's a bouncy track. It might just suit the West Indian fast bowlers. I mean, Kemar Roach has been impressing the likes of Ricky Ponting and Mike Hussey, for example. So it could well be. It's going to be a great game, because I think West Indies are just beginning to come back together as a team. There are a couple of injury problems for Australia. Peter Siddle and Ben Hilfenhaus, their fitness will be monitored. We could yet see Stuart Clark coming back into the squad. We could see Clinton Mackay make his debut, so very much keep an eye on that one. Okay, because this time last year Australia were the #1 side in tests in the world, and then South Africa took over. Now it's India, of course. This is right, this is the ICC test ranking. It's sort of fluctuating all the time, but India have gone to the top. They beat Sri Lanka by an innings and 24 runs over the weekend. Wonderful knock from Virender Sehwag. 293 set things up. They scored a national record 726 for 9 before declaring. Sri Lanka bowled out for 393 and then 309, so they lost the series 2-0. They still have yet to win a test match on Indian soil, and India go to the top of the rankings, although they're only going to play 2 tests in the next 12 months. And of course, really unlucky for Sehwag to miss out on his triple century. Would have been the first batsman in the history of the game to have 3 triple centuries. It would, and he just failed, didn't he? But he was quite happy with the way the team performed, and that he got a century in one of the earlier games, and said he was disappointed not to go on and make it a big one, but he put that to right in that final test. Okay, well, talking of tests, one other match, of course, over the weekend in Wellington, and what's that like from there? Pakistan have levelled the series. They beat New Zealand by 141 runs. So when you bowl a team out for 99, as Pakistan did to New Zealand, you generally go on and win the game, and they did. That was a very disappointing performance from New Zealand, but credit to Pakistan. Mohammad Asif is back. He took 9 wickets in the game. Stunning performance from him, and they were set to 405 to win New Zealand. It was never going to happen. It was a pitch that, if anything, favoured the bowlers, and they were bowled out for 263. So plenty for them to think about. They head to Napier with it all square. I'd say everything to play for there, and really, what would you suggest both teams got to look forward to? Well, before that, the changes. I mean, New Zealand have named their squad. They've brought in BJ Watling. He's set to make his test debut. He's got that to look forward to. Peter Fulton is the man to miss out. Pakistan will probably go in unchanged. They've actually named their test squad to tour Australia a little bit more. Sort of 2 or 3 weeks away now. It's coming up on us rather quickly. They're going to be unchanged. Mohammad Yusuf will continue as captain, with only Sarfraz Ahmed and Yasir Arafat being left out of the squad. Looking ahead to Napier, generally a batsman's pitch, so Pakistan appeared with a stronger bowling attack, and New Zealand's top order, with the exception of Ross Taylor, really struggled. So if that continues, you'd almost put your money on Pakistan. Okay, well, I'm sure it'll be fascinating, and we never quite know with either team which team we're going to get when they turn up. So very, very evenly matched. It's been a fascinating series. Eyes on that one then. Okay, and finally, of course, a series win for England. I shouldn't sound so shocked. Well, no, 2-1 ODI series win in South Africa, courtesy of a washout on Friday in Durban. Rather disappointing for everybody, but I think they sort of moved on from there, from Port Elizabeth, for about a week. It rained all week. It didn't stop raining, so there was very little chance of the game going ahead, and that because they'd already got the 2-1 lead. England weren't really complaining, although I think Kevin Peterson would have probably liked a bit of a hit, but can't have everything. Absolutely right. I mean, he'll be one of a few people itching to get out in the middle, but also there's a few people now with injury worries, which I think is probably England's biggest worry itself. That's right. I mean, over the weekend they've called up Mark Davis to join the squad as cover for James Anderson, who's got a knee worry. He won't be playing in their warm-up game
Ryan Sidebottom has a side problem, but South Africa also have a couple of injuries. Jacques Callis' rib injury and Dale Steyn with their hamstring, so even Stevens with injuries.
Yeah, and I think really the key one for them is Jacques Callis, because we were talking the other day, and he's almost takes 4 players to cover him. He's been that important to South African cricket over recent years.
Bats number 3 comes on first change and averages 50 with the bat, 30 with the ball. Don't need to say much more than that. over 100 tests is probably one of the game's greatest all-rounders.
Absolutely. Yeah, that could be another programme to put together. That one.
I think it's another discussion for another day.
Okay, well, it's been a busy week in cricket, and what are we up to look forward to this week?
More busy week's action. We've got the 2020 international series between Sri Lanka and India kicks off in Nagpur. We've got that third and decisive test between New Zealand and Pakistan in Napier, and then on next Wednesday the 2 tests start between Australia and West Indies, that one in Perth, and then England and South Africa in Centurion Park. It's all to play for. Keep up with all the action on cricketworld.com.
Fantastic. Okay, John, well, thanks again for your insight into what's been happening this week and looking ahead. And we thank you again for joining us on Cricket World TV.